Maid's daughter missed her interview to help an old man with flat tire. Unaware, he's the billionaire. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into the story. On a quiet Monday morning in the small town of Greenhill, a young girl named Emily found herself in a difficult situation. She had an important job interview scheduled that afternoon, one she had been preparing for weeks. It was her chance to land a steady job, to help her family escape the cycle of struggle they had been in for years. She was nervous but determined to make the most of this opportunity. But fate had other plans. As she was walking to catch the bus, she noticed an old man struggling with a flat tire on his car just outside the town's small grocery store. Most people would have passed by, too busy to notice or care. But not Emily. She had been raised to help others, to be kind, and to put others first, no matter the cost. She hesitated for a moment, glancing at her watch. Her interview was just an hour away, but she couldn't ignore the man. His car was parked awkwardly in the street, and he was clearly struggling to get the tire changed by himself. His clothes were old, and he looked frail, almost fragile. It was the type of situation where anyone could feel sorry for him, but most would just walk on by, feeling the inconvenience of helping. But Emily knew she couldn't just walk away. She approached him cautiously, offering a gentle smile. "Sir, can I help you with that?" she asked. The man looked up at her, his face softening with gratitude. "Oh, bless you, young lady," he said, his voice rough but kind. "I'm afraid I've been here for a while, and I can't seem to get this tire fixed. It's just one of those days." Emily felt her heart tug at the sight of his weary face. She knelt down beside him, glancing at the flat tire. She wasn't a mechanic, but she knew how to change a tire from watching her father work on cars when she was younger. "Don't worry, I can help," she said, grabbing the tire iron from the trunk. As she worked, the old man continued to talk to her, sharing bits and pieces of his life. Emily was surprised at how comfortable she felt talking to him. His stories were funny, and his laughter was contagious, filling the air with warmth. She could tell he wasn't just a man down on his luck. He was someone who had lived a life full of experiences, good and bad. Emily focused on the task at hand, her nerves about the interview slowly fading away as she helped the man. She had forgotten the time, lost in the simplicity of the moment, until the tire was finally fixed. The man smiled at her, his eyes twinkling with appreciation. "Thank you, young lady. You've saved me more than you know." Emily smiled back, a sense of satisfaction filling her heart. "It was no trouble at all," she said, wiping her hands on her jeans. "I'm glad I could help." The old man paused for a moment, then looked at her with a curious expression. "You know, I've seen a lot of people pass by, but none of them stopped to help. You're special, young lady. You remind me of someone I used to know, someone with a good heart." Emily blushed at the compliment, not sure how to respond. She was just doing what anyone would do in her position. The man seemed to sense her discomfort and chuckled softly. "You're a good soul," he said. "Not everyone would take the time out of their day like you did. I appreciate it more than you know." Just then, Emily's phone buzzed in her pocket. She glanced at the screen and saw the reminder for her interview. She had completely forgotten about it. Her stomach sank as she realized she had missed it. "Oh no," she muttered, looking at the time. "I'm late for my interview." The old man smiled kindly at her, his expression warm. "Don't worry, young lady. The world works in mysterious ways. Maybe this is just the way things were meant to be." Emily nodded, feeling a mix of frustration and relief. She had missed the interview, but she had helped someone in need. It was a choice she didn't regret. Little did Emily know, the man she had helped that day was not just any old man. He was a billionaire, one who had been watching her kindness with interest. And as fate would have it, his next move would change Emily's life forever. As Emily stood there, watching the old man drive off, a strange mix of emotions flooded her. She had missed her interview, something she had worked so hard for, but the encounter with the man left her with a sense of fulfillment. She had done a good deed, and she knew that no matter how bad the timing had been, she had made a positive impact on someone's day. As she turned to walk home, her mind still replayed the brief but meaningful conversation they had shared. Her phone buzzed again, snapping her back to reality. It was a text from her mother. "Where are you? I thought you had the interview today." Emily sighed, tapping out a quick response, telling her she had missed it because she had helped a man with a flat tire. Her mother's reply was quick and blunt. "That's nice, but we really need that job, Emily." Emily's shoulders slumped as she made her way home, knowing her mother's disappointment was not misplaced. They had bills piling up, and the chance of a steady income was a rare opportunity. When she arrived home, her mother was already waiting by the door, her face a picture of concern mixed with frustration. "Emily, you missed the interview?" her mother asked, a hint of worry in her voice. "I know, Mom. I couldn't leave him there," Emily explained softly. "It was the right thing to do. He needed help." Her mother shook her head, her frustration evident. "But we need that job, Emily. You don't get to help everyone. You need to start thinking about us, about what we need." Emily looked down at her shoes, knowing her mother was right, but not feeling entirely guilty. She had done the right thing in her heart, but she understood the reality of their situation. They couldn't afford to be idealistic. As she entered the house, Emily noticed something on the kitchen counter that she hadn't seen before. It was a letter addressed to her. The envelope was large, with an elegant script on it. "Emily Hayes," it read, and underneath, it had the logo of a prestigious company she had only heard of in passing. Her heart skipped a beat as she opened it, unfolding the thick paper inside. She was startled to find that it was an invitation for a second interview. The letter was formal, and the words, "We were impressed with your qualifications and are eager to continue with your interview process," stood out on the page. She blinked, almost not believing it. "How is this possible?" she whispered to herself. She looked back at her phone, wondering if there had been a mistake. Could this be a result of her previous application? The timing seemed too perfect. As she stared at the letter, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from an unknown number. She hesitated for a moment, but answered it. "Hello, is this Emily Hayes?" a voice asked, smooth and professional. "Yes, this is she," Emily replied, confused. "This is Harrison Gable. I wanted to personally thank you for helping me today. I believe you may have missed your interview, but I'd like to offer you a position here at my company. The interview is still valid, and I'd like to meet you in person." Emily froze, the weight of the moment sinking in. Harrison Gable. The name sounded familiar, but she couldn't place it. She stammered, I don't understand. How do you know who I am?" "I'm the man whose tire you fixed this morning," Harrison said calmly. Emily gasped. "Wait, you're the billionaire?" she asked, her voice shaky with surprise. "Yes, that's correct," he replied. "And I believe your actions today have shown me exactly the kind of person you are. You didn't hesitate to help, and that's the kind of spirit I want in my company. So what do you say? Will you come in for that interview?" Emily couldn't believe it. This was the last thing she had expected. It felt like a dream, but the excitement bubbling inside her was real. "Yes," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Yes, of course, I'll be there." "Great," Harrison said with a smile in his voice. "I'll see you soon." As she hung up the phone, Emily stood there in shock, the weight of what had just happened settling in. She had helped a man on the side of the road, and that act of kindness had opened the door to an opportunity she never could have imagined. She glanced at the letter again and then at her phone. The timing had been perfect in the end. She had missed the interview, but in the process, she had gained something far more valuable, an opportunity to change her life. And little did she know, this was just the beginning of an incredible journey ahead. As Emily walked into the sleek, modern office building, her nerves were a tangle of excitement and anxiety. She had dressed in her best clothes, even though they were nothing compared to the polished, high-end outfits she had seen people wearing at the interviews she had researched. This was it, the moment that could change everything. She took a deep breath and walked up to the receptionist, who gave her a polite smile and directed her to a seat. Emily's heart raced as she looked around the room. The walls were lined with awards and certificates, and the staff walked by in smart suits, looking confident and successful. She felt out of place, but tried to steady herself. She had earned this moment, she told herself. The man who had called her earlier, Harrison Gable, was waiting for her. As the minutes ticked by, she couldn't help but replay the conversation from earlier in her mind. A billionaire. The man she had helped with a flat tire. She had no idea what to expect when she walked into that situation, but this felt unreal. Was it a mistake? Was it too good to be true? And yet, there she was, about to meet him. Finally, a tall man in a sharp suit came into the waiting room and smiled at her. "Emily Hayes?" he asked, his voice smooth and professional. "Yes, that's me," she replied, standing up and trying to calm her racing pulse. "I'm Harrison Gable. It's a pleasure to meet you. Please, follow me." He led her down a hallway, and Emily tried not to let her nerves show. As they entered a spacious office, Harrison gestured for her to sit. The office was stunning, with a panoramic view of the city skyline and sleek furniture that exuded success. Emily sat down, trying to compose herself. Harrison took his seat across from her and smiled kindly. "I'm glad you could make it," he said, folding his hands in front of him. "I was impressed with your actions earlier today. Not many people would stop to help a stranger like you did. It's a rare quality." Emily nodded, feeling a mix of humility and pride. She had helped him, but she hadn't expected it to lead to this. She cleared her throat, trying to steady her nerves. "Thank you, Mr. Gable. I just did what anyone would have done in that situation. I didn't think much of it." "That's the thing," Harrison replied, leaning forward slightly. "Most people would have thought much of it. They would have kept walking. But you didn't. You helped me, and that says a lot about your character." Emily felt her face warm with the praise. She had never been one to seek attention, but it was hard to ignore how deeply Harrison's words had impacted her. She had spent so much of her life struggling, trying to make ends meet, that it was hard to accept that someone of his stature would see something valuable in her. Harrison paused for a moment, then continued. "I believe in giving people a chance, especially those who show integrity and character. You missed your interview today, but I'd like to offer you an opportunity to work with me. I think you could be a great asset to my team." Emily blinked, trying to process what he was saying. "Wait, you're offering me a job?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, Emily. I'm offering you a position here at Gable Enterprises. We have a lot of room for people who are dedicated and hardworking. I believe you have the potential to do great things." Emily's heart skipped a beat. She had never expected anything like this. She had dreamed of a job like this, a steady income, a way to help her family. But now, sitting here in front of Harrison Gable, it felt like a dream. "But I don't have the experience you might be looking for," Emily said, trying to find the right words. "I may not have the qualifications others might have, but I have the drive to work hard, to learn. I'll do whatever it takes to prove myself." Harrison smiled, his eyes warm. "That's all I need to hear. Experience can be gained. What I value is the willingness to work hard, to make a difference." Emily was speechless. She had come to this interview with the hope of just getting a foot in the door, but now, she was being offered something far greater. A real opportunity. She could feel the weight of the moment settle over her. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I won't let you down." Harrison nodded. "I know you won't. Welcome to the team, Emily." As she left the office, her heart was full. She had missed her interview for something far more important, something that would change the course of her life forever. She had helped someone in need, and in return, she had been given a chance she never thought she would have. The future was suddenly full of endless possibilities. As the days passed, Emily settled into her new role at Gable Enterprises with a mixture of excitement and determination. The company was everything she had hoped for and more. She had her own desk in a modern office, with a view of the city that took her breath away every time she glanced out the window. The work was challenging, but she was determined to prove herself. Harrison Gable had placed his trust in her, and she wasn't going to let him down. The people at the company were professional and welcoming, but there was always a part of Emily that felt like she didn't quite belong. She had come from such humble beginnings, and now she was working alongside people with years of experience, with degrees from prestigious universities. But as time passed, she started to gain confidence. Her colleagues began to notice her dedication, and slowly, they started to respect her. She would stay late, working on projects, making sure everything was perfect. She didn't mind the extra hours. It was her way of showing that she was serious about her work. One afternoon, as she was working late in the office, her phone buzzed. It was a text from her mother. "How are you doing? Did you hear back from the housing office yet? We're still waiting for news about the apartment." Emily's heart sank. She had been trying to find a better place for them to live, something safer, something more comfortable than their cramped apartment. But the waiting list was long, and they were barely making ends meet. She hadn't heard anything yet, and she felt guilty for not being able to help more. Just as she was about to reply to her mother, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She hesitated for a moment before answering. "Hello, Emily. This is Harrison Gable," a familiar voice said on the other end. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything." "No, not at all," Emily replied, her voice betraying a hint of surprise. "How can I help you?" "I've been keeping an eye on your progress, and I have to say, I'm impressed," Harrison said, his tone warm and genuine. "You've been working hard, and I want to reward that. I have an opportunity for you." Emily's heart raced. Was this it? Was this the moment she had been waiting for? "What kind of opportunity?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'd like to offer you a promotion," Harrison said, his words causing Emily to pause. "You've been doing a great job, and I believe you have the potential to take on more responsibilities. There's a new project coming up, and I want you to lead it." Emily could hardly believe what she was hearing. A promotion? She had only been at the company for a few months, and now she was being offered a leadership role? I don't know what to say," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much, Mr. Gable. I promise I won't let you down." "I know you won't," Harrison said with a chuckle. "You've already proven that. This is just the beginning, Emily. I'm excited to see what you can do." Emily hung up the phone, her mind racing. She had come so far in such a short time. She had helped a man with a flat tire, and now she was on the fast track to success. But with the new responsibilities came new challenges. She couldn't help but wonder if she was ready for this next step. As the days went by, Emily dove into the new project with all her energy. She was given a team to lead, and she worked tirelessly to make sure everything ran smoothly. There were moments of doubt, moments when she questioned if she was really cut out for this, but she pushed through. She remembered the words Harrison had said to her when he offered her the promotion, "I believe in you." Slowly the project began to take shape, and Emily saw the results of her hard work. The team respected her, and the project was progressing faster than anyone had expected. Harrison was pleased with her work, and Emily began to feel a sense of pride in what she was accomplishing. But with success came something else. She received a call from the housing office. "We have an opening," the woman on the other end said. "The apartment you applied for is available. We'd like you to come in and sign the lease." Emily's heart soared. Finally, something was going right. She could finally move her family into a better home, a place where they wouldn't have to worry about the next bill or the next problem. She immediately called her mother, telling her the good news. Her mother's voice cracked with emotion when she heard. "Emily, I'm so proud of you. I always knew you'd make it." Emily felt a lump in her throat. It had been a long, hard road, but she had done it. She had proven that no matter where you came from, you could achieve great things if you worked hard enough. And as she signed the lease for their new apartment, she realized that the journey she had started with a flat tire had turned into something far greater than she could have ever imagined. As weeks passed, Emily's life began to take on a rhythm she hadn't thought possible. The job at Gable Enterprises was going well, and her new apartment was everything she had dreamed of. She had finally been able to move her mother into the new place, and it felt like a weight had been lifted off both their shoulders. The hard work she had put into her career was paying off, and every day felt like a new opportunity. But with success came challenges. The pressure of leading a team on a major project at work was overwhelming at times. There were moments when Emily would stay late into the night, reviewing spreadsheets, drafting emails, and preparing presentations, all while trying to balance her responsibilities at home. The guilt of leaving her mother alone more often than she would have liked crept in, but Emily knew this was all part of the journey. She couldn't afford to slow down now. Harrison Gable, her boss, continued to be a strong source of encouragement. He would check in regularly, offering support and praise for her work. His confidence in her was unwavering, and Emily began to believe in herself in a way she never had before. She had always doubted her abilities, but now, with each milestone she reached, her self-esteem grew. One afternoon, while Emily was in the middle of a meeting with her team, her phone buzzed on her desk. It was a text from her mother. "The car broke down again. I don't know what to do." Emily's heart sank as she read the message. The car was one of their few remaining possessions, and it had been giving them trouble for weeks. She quickly excused herself from the meeting, rushing out to her car. The moment she stepped outside, the familiar sense of panic rose in her chest. She called her mother back immediately. "Mom, what happened? Where are you?" "I'm just at the grocery store," her mother replied, her voice filled with frustration. It just won't start. I don't know what's wrong with it. Emily's mind raced. She knew she couldn't afford to take the car to a mechanic. The cost would be too much. She had to find a solution, and fast. Okay, don't worry. I'm coming to get you, Emily said, her voice steady even though she was worried inside. As she drove to the grocery store, her thoughts raced. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being pulled in too many directions. The pressure to succeed at work, to take care of her family, and to keep everything together was starting to weigh on her. She had always been the one to fix things, to hold everything together, but now it felt like the cracks were starting to show. When Emily arrived at the grocery store, she saw her mother standing by the car, looking helpless. Emily parked and rushed over. It's going to be okay, Emily said, her arms going around her mother in a tight hug. We'll figure this out. Her mother smiled faintly, but there was a hint of worry in her eyes. I'm sorry, honey. I know you're doing your best. I just feel like I'm a burden. Emily pulled back and looked at her. You're not a burden, Mom. You're my family. We're in this together. Emily quickly assessed the car. It was an old model, and it had been through a lot over the years. After a few minutes of checking under the hood, she realized the problem was with the battery. She couldn't fix it herself, but at least she knew what the issue was. I'll have to get a new battery, Emily said. I can't afford a tow, but I'll take care of it. Her mother looked at her with gratitude. You always know what to do. Emily smiled softly. I'll take care of it, I promise. She called a nearby auto parts store to order a battery, and within the hour, she had it installed. Her mother hugged her tightly again, grateful for Emily's persistence. As they drove home, Emily felt a sense of relief. The car was fixed, and her mother was okay. But deep down, she knew this was just one of many challenges she would have to face. The weight of responsibility was always on her shoulders, but she had learned over the past few months that she was stronger than she thought. Emily had come so far in such a short time, and although the road ahead wasn't going to be easy, she was ready to keep moving forward. She had learned to take on new challenges, to trust in her abilities, and to keep pushing herself even when the going got tough. And for the first time in a long while, Emily felt hopeful about the future. She had proven to herself that no matter how impossible things seemed, she could make it through. She had been given the chance to change her life, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. As Emily sat at her desk late one evening, she couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed in just a few months. From the day she helped the elderly man with the flat tire, to now, standing confidently as the leader of a major project at Gable Enterprises, it all felt like a whirlwind. She had been given so many opportunities, and she had worked tirelessly to prove herself worthy of them. But despite all the success, there were still moments when doubt crept in. The pressure was mounting, and sometimes she wondered if she was doing enough, if she was enough. One evening, after a particularly stressful day at the office, Emily walked home feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. The project she had been leading was reaching a critical stage, and while things were progressing, she knew the final presentation to the board could make or break her career. Her phone buzzed as she walked, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was a text from her mother. Emily, I need to talk to you when you get home. It's important. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Her mother never sent texts like that. She had been so busy with work that she hadn't been able to check in as much as she would have liked. Now, she felt a tight knot in her stomach. What was it? Was something wrong? She quickened her pace, her mind racing. When she arrived home, her mother was sitting at the kitchen table, a cup of tea in front of her. She looked tired, but there was something different about her expression. Mom, what's going on? Emily asked, her voice laced with concern. Her mother sighed deeply, glancing at her daughter before speaking. I've been thinking a lot lately, Emily. I've noticed how much you've been working, how much you've been carrying on your shoulders. I want you to know that I see everything you're doing. You're doing great. Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. I'm just trying to keep up with everything, she said, sitting down across from her mother. It's hard sometimes, but I'm doing my best. Her mother smiled softly, her eyes full of pride. I know you are, and I'm proud of you. But there's something else I need to tell you. Emily's heart began to race again. What is it, Mom? You're scaring me. Her mother hesitated for a moment, her fingers tapping nervously on the edge of her cup. I've been thinking about moving again, she said, her voice quieter now. You've worked so hard, and you've made a life for us here, but I think it's time to let go of some things. I've been offered a job offer from an old friend, and I'm thinking of taking it." Emily's mind was spinning. She had never imagined her mother would even consider leaving, especially after all the sacrifices they had made to get here. "Wait, what? You're thinking of moving away?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. "I thought everything was going well." "It is," her mother replied, "but I've been offered a chance to work on something that I think could be really good for me, something that could take the pressure off you." Emily couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her mother had always been so strong, so determined to provide for them both. And now, here she was, offering to take some of that burden off Emily's shoulders. "But Mom, you don't have to do that," Emily said, her voice catching in her throat. "I'm doing fine. I'm doing great, actually." Her mother smiled gently. "I know you are. But I've been watching you, Emily. You've been carrying so much for so long. Maybe it's time for me to take a step forward and let you breathe a little." Emily was silent for a long moment, her thoughts swirling. She had always believed that she was the one who had to keep everything together, that her success was the only way to make things right. But now, she was realizing that her mother's sacrifice was just as important, and that sometimes the best way to move forward was by allowing others to help. Finally, Emily spoke, her voice soft but resolute. "Okay, Mom. If this is what you think is best, then I support you. I've got this. You deserve this." Her mother's eyes softened with emotion. "Thank you, Emily. You've worked so hard, and I don't think you know how much you've changed my life." Emily nodded, a weight lifting off her shoulders. Maybe, just maybe, it was time to let go of the pressure and allow herself to take a step back. As she lay in bed that night, Emily thought about everything she had achieved in such a short amount of time. And for the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to simply rest, knowing that she was not alone in this journey. As the weeks continued to fly by, Emily felt as though she was living in a whirlwind of success, pressure, and the constant desire to do more. The promotion had changed her life in many ways, and while she was grateful, it had also come with new challenges. She was constantly balancing her work with her personal life, trying to make sure her mother's transition was as smooth as possible, while still striving for excellence at her job. She had proven herself in the workplace, but now it was time to prove to herself that she could handle everything. Emily's new role at Gable Enterprises meant more responsibility, more meetings, and more expectations. But with all that, there were moments when she still doubted if she was truly capable of leading a team, managing projects, and making the right decisions. It wasn't always easy to stay confident. There were days when Emily questioned if she was good enough, especially when the stakes were so high. One afternoon, Emily found herself sitting in the conference room with a few of her colleagues, reviewing progress on the project they had been working on for months. The pressure was mounting, and the board meeting was fast approaching. This would be the moment to prove that she was the right person for the job. As they discussed details and reviewed reports, Emily's mind kept drifting back to her mother's words. Emily had always carried the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but now, her mother's decision to move on to a new opportunity had caused Emily to reflect. Her mother was always there for her, but now it seemed that it was Emily's turn to truly step up and embrace her own path. Emily had the potential, the drive, and the support to succeed, but sometimes the pressure was overwhelming. Just then, her phone buzzed, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was a message from her mother. "I'm so proud of you, Emily. Remember to take a break when you need it. You've come so far, and I'm here for you always." Emily smiled at the message, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. Her mother had always been her rock, but now, she realized that she needed to be her own rock, too. She needed to trust herself. After the meeting ended, Emily decided to take a walk to clear her mind. As she stepped outside, the cool air was refreshing, and for the first time in a while, she allowed herself to relax. She walked around the city for a bit, reflecting on her journey, on the tire change, on the promotion, on how far she had come. She had worked so hard to get to this point, and now it was time to stop doubting herself. She knew she was capable. She knew she was making a difference. The world wasn't always going to be easy, but she had the strength to handle whatever came her way. As she returned to the office, Emily felt more confident than she had in a long time. She was ready for the challenges ahead, and she knew that no matter what happened, she could handle it. That night, as she prepared for the big presentation to the board, she looked in the mirror, straightened her shoulders, and smiled. She wasn't just Emily, the girl who helped a man with a flat tire anymore. She was Emily Hayes, a strong, capable woman who had earned every step of her success. The next day, Emily walked into the boardroom, her head held high. She gave the presentation with confidence, her voice steady and clear. She answered every question, and as the meeting came to a close, the board members nodded with approval. They were impressed. Emily had done it. She had proven herself, not just to the company, but to herself. As she walked out of the meeting, she felt a sense of pride wash over her. She had faced every challenge head-on and come out on top. And as she stepped back into her office, she knew that this was just the beginning. There was so much more to come, but now, Emily was ready to face it all with confidence and strength. Emily sat in her office late that night, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she finalized the last details of her project. The presentation had gone well, but there was always something more to do, something that could be improved. As much as she had proven herself in the boardroom, she knew that success wasn't a one-time achievement. It was a constant effort. She glanced at the clock and sighed. It was past midnight. Her eyes were tired, but her mind was racing, unable to stop thinking about what the future held. She was determined to keep moving forward, but there were moments when she felt overwhelmed by the weight of the responsibility she had taken on. Emily leaned back in her chair, stretching her arms above her head. The pressure was always there, lurking in the background. She had achieved so much in such a short period of time, but she also knew that she had to keep pushing herself to prove that she belonged at the top. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her mother. "I've been thinking about what you said the other day. I know you've been working hard, and I'm so proud of everything you've done. I'm here for you always." Emily's heart warmed at her mother's words. Her mom had been her biggest supporter, and even when she didn't feel like she had anyone else to lean on, she knew her mother was always there, rooting for her. Emily quickly replied, thanking her for the support. She hadn't realized how much she needed that reminder. Her journey had been filled with sacrifices, but she was learning that it was okay to take a moment to appreciate the progress she had made. The next day, she woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. As she got ready for work, she reflected on her goals. She had proven herself in her new role, but she knew there was more she wanted to accomplish. She had big dreams for herself, and she wasn't going to stop until she reached them. Emily arrived at the office, greeted by her team, all eager to continue working on their new project. As they sat down for their morning meeting, Harrison Gable entered the room. He had been a constant source of support for Emily, and his trust in her had made all the difference. "Good morning, Emily," Harrison said, a warm smile on his face. "How's everything going?" Emily smiled back, grateful for his mentorship. "Everything's going well, thank you. We're on track to meet our goals." Harrison nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I've been watching your progress, and I have to say, I'm impressed. You've really stepped up to the plate, and your leadership is making a difference. Keep it up." Emily felt a wave of pride wash over her. Harrison's words meant more to her than she could express. She had come so far, but hearing that affirmation from him reminded her that she was on the right path. After the meeting, Emily sat at her desk, catching up on emails and reviewing the next steps for the project. As she worked, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was an email from the housing office. Emily's heart skipped a beat as she opened it. The subject line read, "Your application status." She clicked on the email, her fingers trembling slightly. The message was simple. "We are pleased to inform you that your application for the apartment has been approved. Please contact us to schedule a move-in date." Emily's eyes widened. This was it, the apartment she had been dreaming of. The place that would finally give her and her mother the space they needed. She felt a rush of emotion flood through her. She had worked so hard for this moment, and now it was finally happening. As she read the email again, a sense of accomplishment washed over her. She wasn't just succeeding at work. She was creating a life for herself and her family. She quickly called her mother to share the good news. Her mother's voice cracked with emotion when she heard, "Emily, I'm so proud of you. You did it. You really did it." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. The path she had chosen was difficult, but it had led her here, at the threshold of a new chapter in her life. As she hung up the phone, she looked out the window at the city below. There was still so much to do, so much to accomplish, but for the first time, she allowed herself to feel the weight of her success. She had come so far, and she was ready to take the next step. The future was bright, and Emily was finally ready to embrace it with open arms. Months passed, and Emily continued to rise in the ranks at Gable Enterprises. Her confidence had grown immensely since the day she first helped that elderly man with a flat tire. Her hard work had paid off, and now, she was a key player in the company's most important projects. The responsibilities were greater, but so was the satisfaction of knowing she had earned every bit of it. The new apartment she had moved her mother into was perfect for them. It wasn't just a house, it was a home, a place where they could relax and enjoy the fruits of their labor. Emily's mother had been supportive every step of the way, always reminding Emily how proud she was of her achievements. But there was one thing that weighed heavily on Emily's mind, her own sense of fulfillment. She had been so focused on her career and making sure her family was taken care of that she hadn't taken a moment to reflect on her personal happiness. One Saturday morning, after a particularly stressful week at work, Emily decided to take a break. She didn't have any meetings or projects to complete, so she took the entire day to herself. She visited the local park, enjoyed a long walk, and spent some quiet time by the lake. As she sat on the bench, she thought about everything she had accomplished, the promotion, the apartment, the successful projects, and the people who had come into her life. But most of all, she thought about how much she had grown as a person. She had started out helping someone with a simple act of kindness, and that had set off a chain of events that had changed her life forever. She had learned that life wasn't just about success or achieving goals. It was also about finding balance and taking time for the things that mattered. It was about appreciating the journey, not just the destination. As she walked back to her apartment, Emily felt a sense of peace. The future was still uncertain, and she knew that there would be more challenges ahead. But for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to face whatever came her way. She had the support of her family, the respect of her colleagues, and, most importantly, the confidence in herself to keep going. The lessons she had learned, from helping a stranger with a flat tire to leading a major project at work, had shaped her into someone stronger than she had ever imagined. When she arrived home, her mother was waiting for her, as usual. Emily smiled as she sat down at the kitchen table, feeling content. "You seem happy today," her mother said, her eyes twinkling. Emily nodded. "I am, Mom. I think I've finally figured things out." Her mother smiled warmly, proud of the woman her daughter had become. "I'm glad to hear that. You've worked so hard, and now it's time to enjoy the rewards." Emily looked out the window at the setting sun. It was a beautiful evening, and she was surrounded by everything she had worked for. She had achieved so much, but now, she was ready to live fully, to appreciate the small moments, and to continue growing as a person. She had found her balance, and for the first time in a long while, Emily felt truly happy. Her journey wasn't over, but she was no longer afraid of what lay ahead. She had already proven to herself that she could handle anything life threw her way, and now she was ready to embrace whatever the future held with open arms.